Okay, one time when I worked at Trader Joe's, this is so wild. Because I also avoid people who are openly angry in a way that is it's one thing if I watch something happen to them and they're angry, right? So like if I watch someone
Right.
get kicked out of a place or something and they're angry about it, I know why you're angry, I think. So now if you happen to look at me or engage with me, I can talk to you, right?
Right. Yeah.
When I have no idea what you're upset about and I don't know you, I also steer clear. Because one time
Yeah.
back when I was
You're a
working at,
potential threat to my day now.
yeah, because I was working at Trader Joe's, right?
Yeah.
And this is the Trader Joe's in New York. So I'd been in New York for like maybe 3 months. So I just moved here, right? Mm-hmm. This guy is in the fresh produce area, but I call it the fruit aisle just to like keep it clear, right?
Right.
So he was pulling one of the plastic bags that you pull when you want to put a bunch of apples in it or just a bunch of the loose fruits together. He was pulling one of those, and the little seam that's supposed to catch the clip to break, it must have missed, so he pulled way too much, right?
Okay.
This is where
We've all
things
been there.
this
Very,
is where
very common thing.
yeah, this is where things go off the rails. So then cuz like
Everything I've said up till now, normal.
yeah, like you've said, this happens to everybody, right?
That was everybody. It's very common.
This dude pulls
Happened to me the other day.
the rest of his arm comes down from him pulling, and he loses his mind. Okay.
Ooh.
This
He
dude,
just got fired.
yeah. This
Like
dude,
something happened before the store.
it was to the point where I was wondering if he worked at Trader Joe's and then got fired the day before, and I just never met him. That's how mad he got. So he pulls it, right?
Yeah.
As he's pulling, his arm goes down the rest of the way. So now he's got like 9 bags that he's pulled. Okay. And
And he's like, I don't want this many lemons.
then he drops the end one and then just tries again and then pulls another bunch instead of just breaking the one that he had in his hand. But
Yeah,
now
how is that the solution?
I have no idea, but you don't think clearly when you're angry because he's visibly angry now, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And so then he pulls again, and now there's like at least 20 bags that have been pulled out of this roll, and there's bags that are like there's bags that are like on the floor now, all still connected, like a whole roll of toilet paper unrolled, right?
Yeah.
And so it's just these green bags. And so now instead of trying to pull again or break any of them, he just punches an orange. Okay? This dude punches an orange. And
Well.
I think that once you break the seal on your personal level of anger, you're
I
just
thought you were going to say on an orange.
no. Yeah, when you break the seal on an orange, all hell breaks loose.
There's no turning back.
Once you break the seal on, just your level of anger, I think
Yeah.
a lot of people that's where you find out who someone is, because I think a lot of people either decide, hey, this is where I should check myself, or I'm too far gone and I'm just gonna hit the gas.
Yeah.
In a fight, in an argument, there's a level, there's a ceiling that people have. And once you go past that, that's who you find out who's like quote unquote crazy, who you find out is like a fighter, who you find out is
Right.
a crier, like all that stuff. Because
Yeah.
that's the moment where you realize you're angry and you either start to see red or you start to calm down, right?
The emotion takes over and you're in like a free fall now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so this dude punches the orange, and I think for him, clearly punching oranges is cracking the ceiling. Cause then this dude still with the green bag string in his hand, the strip of green bags, just keeps punching oranges, right? And so then he starts screaming. He's like, oh, like, and it's not a scream that's like to get attention. It's a guttural low scream, right? Like he's essentially just being like, oh, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Punching-
The noise of a mental breakdown.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
punching oranges, orange juice going, right? Like, this dude is getting orange juice all over his face. And I've never been so scared of orange juice because he had just enough of it on his face to look like blood. Like,
Right.
like you knew if he had been punching a person, his face would just be covered, right?
Yeah.
And then
I want a glass of fresh punched orange juice, please.
And then, so he must have punched like 8 oranges, right? And they're layered on the on these like little cabinets because the display is wooden. So it's not like he's punching a stack of oranges like you'd see at Walmart that are tilted. He's punching like a stack of oranges that are on this wooden cabinet, you know?
Yeah.
And that's why he's making so much juice, is because there's nowhere for the oranges to go.
There's no escape for these oranges.
There's no escape for these oranges. So anyway, after he punches the 8th orange, he tries to storm off. And as he's like turning around, in his punching, he's just got the bags wrapped around his arm. Oh. So now he tries to walk away and he's just pulling more rolled bags like toilet paper.
Oh no.
And that dude walked out of the store with like maybe 100 bags trailing him.
That's all you can do, I think. You can't finish shopping. You can't just...
That dude left sticky.
Yeah. I was going to say, now he's sticky and covered in plastic. But yeah, you can't do that and then just look down at your list, cross off oranges, and then move on to the next thing.
It'd be so funny if he didn't want oranges. He just want plums. But then... bow, 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 bow.
Like... And I get it too. When you're angry, you don't think clearly. You just get frustrated. But like, just tear the bags, dude. Like, just at any point, tear the bags. Even if you got a couple, and I know you don't need a couple, but don't just keep pulling. Where's he thinking like, oh, this is just one really long bag? Like, what did he think was happening?
I would have loved to have a conversation with him or be in his head because...
I mean, be in his head. You don't want to talk to him.
Because, well, no, just later in life. Like today. This was years ago. So I think I could talk about... I think maybe he's over it by now, right?
Yeah.
And I'd love to like... Because you know how...
Or he's still serving time for it.
Yeah, I'd hate to be the person who ran into him on the street and just be like, hey, buddy, are you all right? And he just starts swinging. Right? You can't tell why his punches are so tasty, you know?
Why are your fists so sweet?
Yeah, this dude assault is delicious. He'd have beat the hell out of you and you're like, what was a little hint of Florida.
Such citrusy violence. I can tell I'm being hurt, but I think I'm also getting vitamins.
Yeah. At least this dude smells good, right?
Yeah, he punched a cold right out of me.
Emergency be damned.
Give it up for Josh Johnson.
I've been loving getting to watch in real time the indictment of New York Mayor Eric Adams. This dude sucks so much. It's so bad. This dude sucks. I don't know who your mayor is, but be glad it's not Eric Adams. This dude is the worst. He's so corrupt. And it's like corruption. This is what's disappointing about Eric Adams' corruption, is that it's like petty. Do you know what I mean? We expect politics to be corrupt. It says a lot that we do, but a part of us, do you know what I mean? And what does that say about us to a certain degree? I think about that a lot. What does that say about our expectations, that we expect corruption? You know what I mean? At lots of levels.
You know, city councilman did this thing, president did this thing, whatever it is, we expect it. And then when people run, we don't really believe in them. Maybe if someone can make us believe in them along the way, that's the person that we vote for, because we're like, wow, this person's different. But different from what? The expectation is corruption, you know? And he's corrupt in a way that's truly disappointing. It's a shame. It's embarrassing how easy a politician is to buy. You could lease a new Subaru, or you could buy a politician depending on the position of the state. The things these people go down for, we're talking not money if we're talking politics, right? Like if I was a senator and I wanted to be corrupt, you'd have to get me good. You have to take care of me, because I might lose my job. I might go to jail. I need a nest egg to protect me. You know, something to look forward to while I'm in jail doing all that time for doing you a favor and being corrupt. Like, that's why I don't agree with it, and I'm glad he's going down for it. But Menendez makes sense. He took gold bars. That's cartoonish corruption. That is like full on 1950s cartoon corruption. That is New Yorker political cartoon corruption, to just take actual gold bars. Where do you get gold bars from? And then take the gold bars to do the favor for the person. This is what's funny about Eric Adams being indicted, is that New York City is, and this is coming from someone who lives there, and I do love it in New York, right? But New York is a dirty place, all right? Inside and out, okay? It's one of the more corrupt places. So to be the first mayor to ever be indicted with corruption charges in New York City, you gotta be one of the dumbest people who has ever lived. It's a city of corruption and you got caught. That's crazy. Sometimes I can't believe it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure he could believe it. He was like, y'all, this is what we do. How y'all gonna get mad now? I did the regular amount of corruption. I didn't even go overboard. I got some flights upgraded. Why would y'all? No, it is that dumb. This dude, Eric Adams' corruption is so petty. This dude about to go to jail because he let Turkey upgrade some flights for him. He basically is gonna go to jail for what is Delta Gold Medallion. Like, it's just, it's very petty. Some nice meals, some flights. That's great. That our mayor, New York's mayor, all it took to buy him was just treat him like a bad bitch for a night. Like, do you know how embarrassing that is? Do you know how much money is in New York? I need at least 6 skyscrapers to be as corrupt as Eric Adams. I'd be like, take care of me. No, I need land. What are you talking about, a flight? A flight where I might fall asleep and miss my corruption? No. Because sometimes you get upgraded by your airline, you get all excited, you like, oh, I'm sitting in, got the extra leg room and everything. I can kick for no reason and stuff. And then you wake up at the destination and you're like, dang, I didn't even enjoy the free glass of champagne and orange juice. That's his level of corruption. It's so dumb. He sucks. But Eric Adams started as a cop, right? And I actually watched this video of him. It was a very entertaining watch. Basically, when he was a cop, he did a video. Maybe he was still a cop. I don't know. Maybe it retired, but
anyway, he used his police expertise to make the video. And it's basically a video where he shows parents how to search their children's rooms for drugs and guns, right? And the thing that's amazing about it is that clearly one of two things happened. Either Eric Adams told whoever was shooting the video to just go fill a room full of crack, or Eric Adams kept using the same 6 crack rocks in between takes. Because he was pulling crack out of places that didn't really make any sense. Like those, when you have crack, the intention is to smoke it or sell it. And where he was pulling, because then first of all, the room didn't make sense because the room is supposed to be a child's room, right? But the room has stuff for a kid that's about to head off to college or somebody in preschool. Like, there's just too much going on in the room. The room makes sense if you were never going to leave that room for 26 years. Like, it doesn't... The room did not make sense at all. So then Eric Adams would do weird stuff like he'd be like, looks like a regular tricycle, right? But if you pop this tire right quick, you pop this tire, pull it out, what do we find? Crack cocaine. It was incredible. Like, looks like a regular doll, huh? But if you stab it in the back and rip it open, what do we find? Crack cocaine. And honestly, like, look, I even get the spirit behind what he's doing, but if your child is on crack, there will be other signs. Besides a heavy tricycle wheel. I've never seen a kid on a bike with a flat tire and been like, we're losing the youth. It's insane. This dude is over here going, a simple jewelry box. But if we open it, what do we find? A loaded gun. A pillow? You gave your child a pillow? And thought that they weren't gonna do the worst with it? You reach in that pillowcase, what do you find? A Glock. My favorite was standing near a bookcase. And he didn't say these words exactly, but the feeling that I got when I was watching him was just, you think your child reads? You think your little baby boy, baby girl reading in here? No. They're a child, and we all know children are what? Crackheads. You open this book, and what do you find? What spills out? Crack cocaine. No. It was incredible. It was truly, the only thing he did do was pull crack out of the gun. Like, but, and I can't stress this enough, Eric Adams is like terrible. He really is, like, he really is, he's the worst. It's so bad. He sucks. He sucks so much. You should be so glad he's not your mayor. Like, that's... Oh, man.
I'll be honest with you. I didn't do the research. I don't know who your mayor is. I just know it's not Eric Adams. So you got 2 legs up on New York City. This dude, first of all, when he was running, he was corrupt. This dude was running, and he was already doing stuff where we were like, if it's not illegal, it's weird. This dude told the story of, because, he's a cop, and he reminds everybody all the time they used to be a cop, right? And it depends, because he does a thing that's real sneaky. He's really good at it, right? Where he was a black cop. So in some rooms, he's black. In some rooms, I used to be a cop. And never the 2 rooms shall meet. If like... It's crazy. Okay, so this dude, when he was running, would tell the story of a fallen officer, right? His friend that he loved dearly, who died in the line of duty, and he loved his friend so much that he keeps a picture of him in his wallet with him all the time, right? And it's a heartwarming story because no matter your feelings on cops, no matter your feelings on like the criminal justice system, I think everyone can understand what it's like to lose a friend, right? You can understand what it's like to lose, especially when you lose a friend when you're both in danger. Maybe you both were in the military together. Maybe you're both cops. Maybe you served in some way and then you lost your friend. And no one's going to know what that was like except for people who it also happened to, right? And he kept the picture in his wallet. Except the picture in his wallet that he showed people was printed out by his staff members, and they threw a little coffee on it to make it look old. And that's before he did anything illegal. This dude is the devil. Like, he really sucks. This dude, I don't even know how he won. He doesn't live in New York. You know how usually you have to live where you're the mayor of? I'm not gonna make any assumptions about your mayor, but I'm assuming they live here. I imagine your mayor doesn't actually live in Illinois. That would be weird, right? To come over and be like, hey, I'm here with y'all. We're in this together. I'ma go, though. Dude lived in Jersey. And then it got outed that he lived in Jersey. And so at the last second, he had the New York Times try to help him cover it. And they did a profile of him at his house in Brooklyn that he was clearly walking into for the first time. This dude walked in. You could tell he had never been in there before. He over here like, and as you can see, my wall. If you don't have one, you gotta get one. All right, these walls are fire. This dude walked in, and clearly, whatever staff was trying to help him look like he lived there, I feel like they tried to like Ocean's 11 it and like did it a little too late because they were clearly moving stuff into the place to make it look furnished. But then he probably called them and told like, hey, I'm on the way now. Y'all got to get out because the apartment did not make sense. You walk in and in the living room is the bed. That's an intern who had to drop the bed like as they like, what? And then, they go, he opens the fridge because he really tried to do this MTV Cribs for the New York Times, right? And so then he opens the fridge and he's like, blat out my snacks, right? And there is way too much meat for Adams to be a vegan. There's so much meat. It looked like it was stocked by Hillshire Farms. There's way too much meat in there. Not even mistakable meat. Not even like, oh, I thought the Impossible Burger. Like, it was full-on meat. And when they ask him about it, he's like, oh, my son be sneaking in, you know what I mean? You know, because you know how when you have kids, you know, as parents, you know how when you have kids, they sneak into your home and leave food, you know what I mean? In the fridge uneaten. You know how children are. All they do is leave food in the fridge and smoke crack. That's what children do. This dude is the worst. This man brought back stop and frisk. If you don't know what stop and frisk is, it was practice in New York where basically the police could stop you at any time and frisk you, check you for drugs and weapons and stuff like that. It was very popular under like Giuliani and stuff, but it was like found to be pretty disproportionate because they would just stay in one place and check everybody there. You know? So it was just black and brown people. It was mostly black and Hispanic people that were like stopped and frisked. And it didn't even really work because the people with guns and drugs were like, I'll stay home. You know, they found when they did studies on it that, you know, more often than not, it was men, over 9% men. So it's like 99.3% men of the stop and frisk. And then also in the 90s were black and brown people. So it was like, I think like 5% white, right? Which is just go all over New York. You're allowed to stop and frisk. Just stop and frisk everywhere. Just do the Upper West Side. Do you know what I mean? Just be like, hey, what's in the briefcase though? That could be full of anything. But they didn't, so it was found to be like an unconstitutional practice. It was found unconstitutional in 2013, and the New York police like disbanded fully in 2020, and then Eric Adams brought it back. Which is odd, because this is my thing about Eric Adams, and what I mean about that chameleon move that he does is that Eric Adams, I don't even know the exact particulars of the story. All I know is that he was arrested when he was a kid. Some people say he was a member of a gang himself, right? And that he, got beat up by the police. He tells the story of being a victim of police brutality at like 14, 15. Him and his friend got caught. They had done two things. I think they had stolen some checks or something, and they stole something else, and it was when they were trying to cash the stolen check they got caught, and basically they got beat up at the police station. And apparently the way that I believe Eric tells it is that these white cops were beating him and his friend up, and then a black cop came in and told him to stop. And he was like, and that was the moment I decided that I wanted to be a police officer, turn my life around, everything, because I just saw the way that black cop moved, right? He's like, I saw the power, the respect, I saw the fear that people had, you know, and I was like, that, oh, okay. It's a weird thing to pull from that lesson, but all right. We're all our own people. And so it's weird to me that he's so adamant about being punitive as someone who grew up the way that he grew up. It's very odd that he doesn't see himself in any of the youth that he wants to arrest or wants to punish. Like and that's even only part of why he sucks. Like, he sucks. This dude sucks so much. He's the worst. They opened the investigation into Eric Adams the way that the feds do, which is quietly. You know what I mean? The thing that's scary about the feds is that they always get you. Their conviction rate is in the 90s. So it's basically done. Like, do you know what I mean? Like when they show up, it's only a matter of time, right? And the feds opened an investigation into them, and this is like a year ago, that they came through and they were like, hey, we're gonna need everybody's cell phone. Your whole team, right? Which is already not great. Probably every mean thing I've ever said is on my cell phone. Do you know what I mean? Like, I try to be a good person, but if you pull up on me and you snatch my cell phone, you're gonna be like, oh, you an asshole, okay. The cell phone feels safe. You know, and the feds roll up and, take his laptop, his cell phone, everything. And this is how you know, this is how a guilty dude moves, right? So he goes ahead and gets swooped on when the feds come and get everybody's cell phone. And he's like, oh, actually, my cell phone, I don't have it on me, right? I don't have it. And they were like, okay, we'll bring it first thing tomorrow. And he brings it. Next day, brings it, right? And then he's like, actually, I had changed my password to keep my aides out of my phone, because you know how aides are, always trying to face ID you and see what your business is and everything, even though you email them personally and stuff. But like, try to keep my aides out of my phone. So went ahead and I'm giving it to you now, but just know that I had to change the password, keep my aides out of my phone, and I just forgot it. This dude moves like a man who cheats. Like, that's crazy. And the feds basically had so much on them that they were like, oh, we don't need your phone. Because we have every other phone that you text. Ooh. There's even instances of Adam's aides knowing things were illegal and then being like, y'all, this is illegal. They said it in the text, but y'all, this is illegal. I don't think he'll want to do it. And then you know that text bubble? He'd be like, hey, this is illegal. I don't know if he'll want to do it. And then the person from Turkey or wherever would be like, are you sure? And then the text bubble. That bubble be cooking, right? That bubble be bubbling up, right? And then it go away for a second. And then it come back and be like, never mind, he's down. The amount of times that his aide said to other people, this is illegal. And then several texts later be like, so when are we? It was incredible, man. It's really fascinating. And then there was like, I think it was like one of his campaign aides, one of the people that worked under him, was being interrogated. And as soon as she realized the interrogation wasn't friendly, she was like, can I go to the bathroom real quick? And so they were like, yeah, sure. And then she went to the bathroom and apparently started mass deleting as many text messages as she could. But then she was in there so long that the fans were like, she deleted text messages. Like, nobody got a boo-boo that bad. Like, I mean, who knows? Maybe she is shitting herself, but not. I can just imagine you realize your boss about to go to jail, you might go to jail too, and now you in the bathroom just, I'll be right out. Oh, it's bad. Oh no. Y'all still there? I can't stress this enough. This dude sucks. Like, it's like, okay. maybe one of the funniest things about the whole case is that we don't definitively know one way or the other, but there's a chance that this dude would, like, the last straw that broke everything, that had the roof come tumbling down, that kicked over his house of cards, might have been, maybe, Sabrina Carpenter. Inadvertently. I don't know if you remember, but Sabrina Carpenter did a music video for a song called Feather, right? And in that music video, she's in a church, right? And she got permission to be in that church. As controversial as everything was, and as much as the archdiocese freaked out after they saw the video and as upset as people were, she got permission, right? She did the right thing, and she asked, can I do my video here? She didn't just run in and be like, quick. She did everything by the book, right? And the person that allowed her was a Monsignor, right? This Monsignor gave permission, shooting the church and everything. And then when the video comes out, obviously the archdiocese is all upset and stuff. They're like, nothing provocative or sexual should be in a church. That's what they said. Don't get weird with me. And so then they demoted the Monsignor. That's how mad they were, you know? They didn't fire him because I guess it's impossible to get fired at a church. You know, anybody else, any other job, they would have been like, you gotta go. But Catholic Church, they're like, no, we'll move you, don't worry. And basically, one of the things that came from that whole thing, especially how public it was the feds subpoenaed the archdiocese over the Monsignor because he had connections, like as in a relationship or maybe even a business relationship with Eric Adams' chief of staff, right? And so they were like looking into it, and then Sabrina Carpenter's moved on. She just sort of like, oh, I didn't realize it. Whoops. And I don't know. I think that people don't realize how much trouble Eric Adams is in because this isn't like a police thing. This isn't like a local police or something. Like local police could run cover for a mayor. And so Eric Adams gets indicted, right? Present day, he gets indicted, and this dude holds a press conference. It's one of the worst press conferences I've ever watched in my entire life. This is incredible. People talk about Giuliani and everything when he did that 4 Seasons press conference and stuff like that. Not gonna lie, this one put that one to shame, okay? This one was really, but first of all, they decided to do it outside. I don't really know why, but maybe he's not allowed in buildings. I have no idea, but they decided to do it outside, and they had a tent up because it was raining. But Eric Adams and he does this a lot. He does this in a way, this is one of the reasons I can't stand Eric Adams. This is one of the things that makes him suck, right? Is that whenever he's in trouble, whenever he needs something, he's very, very black. You know, and so now that he's in trouble, he has gathered around him every black person that will stand next to him, I suppose. And so he had everybody. He had so many people that they couldn't all fit under the tent. So now there are some people getting rained on halfway, just trying to lean in, everything. Do the one-sided thing. And the press conference starts, and there's protesters at the press conference. And, you know, Adams did some weird stuff. Like when he got indicted, he did like a message to New Yorkers and everything. And in the message, he says, like, I knew as soon as I stood up for New York, I would become a target. And then we were like, when did you stand up and who is targeting you? Like, this is odd. I've heard this language before, but I've never seen it make less sense since the last time I heard it. You know? And finally, he goes ahead, he's doing press conference and stuff, and there's protesters there. And the protesters are screaming at him. They're like, you're an embarrassment. Don't try to act black now. You brought back stop and frisk. You brought back every policy that came down hard on the black community, but now you want to be black because you're in trouble and you want us to back you up and everything. And they're yelling. And the whole time, Eric Adams like, You ever been at a restaurant and there's a couple trying not to fight? And then finally, one of them can't take it anymore, and she stands up and she's like, you cheating bastard, or whatever. And then he's like, It was that. And so he just stands like, okay. And then he lets people speak for him, right? So his pastor speaks, and his other pastor speaks, and I think another pastor speaks. You go to extra church when you're in trouble, right? So then pastor after pastor after pastor are speaking, right? And all the pastors are like, hey, listen, we don't even know. Everybody has to have their day in court. Like, no one is actually professing this dude's innocence. Everybody's like, yeah, you can't judge lest ye be judged. And once again, remember, I told you it's one of the worst press conferences I've ever seen, because not only can not everybody fit under the tent, and not only are the people not making a convincing argument for Adams to be innocent, which is what we would very much like our elected official to be, right? This one lady gets up there, and she's been the loudest against the other protest. She's like, shut up, let him speak, blah, 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 right? And so it's her turn to speak. And then she gets up there, and she's like, good morning, New York! Like, she's just trying to shout everybody down. She's like, I've known Eric Adams for 40 years! And she's just screaming, right? And he is completely... And then the mic starts going out. Completely... And another thing... And he's not corrupt with a... Thank you. And then the dude went up there, and I don't really know what his position was. I don't know. He might have just been a black dude Eric Adams pulled that day, because this guy gets up there and he goes, good morning, New York. Good morning, New York. I've known Eric Adams for years, and he is, for 64 years, he has loved and served New York, and we cannot throw away 64 years over 5 indictments. He is 64. And I was like, where's the logic going here? You want that dude to be innocent because he's 64? Like, is that... There's no way he served 64. He just is alive for 64 years. But this dude was slick with it. He was like, do not throw away 64 years over 5 indictments. Nobody gonna kill him. Like, what are you talking about? Throwing away 64, we're not dating him. He got indicted. Do not throw away 64 years over 5 indictments. He is 64, thank you. I feel like that's the only dude that Eric Adams was like, probably should have let that be a tweet. And then it's Eric Adams' turn, right? And then counter-protesters are yelling. They're like, you're an embarrassment. You're an embarrassment to black people. You are an absolute embarrassment to the city, okay? You trying to make it a black thing. It's not a black thing. It's a you thing. You're corrupt. You're corrupt by yourself. It's not a black thing. It's a you thing, right? This dude's screaming. And he's like, what? Why is anything you're saying different from Trump? You talking about you stand in the way. Stand in the way of what? You corrupt by yourself, right? And then Eric Adams like, and then he starts taking questions, right? And some of the questions were, you said that as soon as you stood up for New Yorkers, you would become a target. Who do you think you're a target of? Like Homeland Security, or what? There are government bodies that are serving you this indictment. Who do you think is targeting you, and why? And then he was like, that's a question for the federal government. And I was like, okay, not a great start. And then he goes, let me just get something clear right now. All right? And then the mic cuts out completely. He's like, I just want to say to y'all, that's all I gotta say. This is incredible, you know? Incredible. I don't know. I would love to see Eric Adams go to Rikers. I mean, particularly because of the terrible job he's done with Rikers. Just so you know, Rikers is a horrific place. It's been compared to Guantanamo Bay. Mainly because most of the people in Rikers, around 85%, have not been convicted of a crime. They just cannot afford to get off Rikers. They can't afford to pay bail and stuff like that. But they sit there until the trial, and the trial is sometimes 8 months away, 9 months away. So they're potentially innocent people just sitting there, rotting in a jail in terrible conditions because they just didn't have money. Any one of us could not have money. Most of us don't have enough money for the things we would like. So that's how close we are to being them. You know? And it's so bad that there's a federal monitor that's like over Rikers. And Eric Adams has worked with Rikers to subvert everything that would have them comply with the federal monitor. Right? It's horrific. And all they've really done is like try to throw money and staffing at the problem, but then money and staffing have become the problem because now Rikers is such a cushy job that there are a lot of people who don't show up for work. So now they really are wasting money because they'll be understaffed on a day where everyone is scheduled and then everyone calls in sick. And then people die at Rikers. People die every year at Rikers. You know? It's absolutely insane. And the staffing, if I'm correct, maybe I'm wrong, right? But last time I looked it up, the staffing was like 2 to 1. Right. No jail has 2 to 1. Right. No jail anywhere has 2 to 1, you know? And so what a poetic thing it would be, you know, for the guy that a year ago gave the key to the city to Diddy. To also be like indicted and charged and sitting in Rikers. It'd be dope to see Eric Adams at Rikers. They just, he gets there and they're like, what's up, buddy? Let's talk. Oh. And so many people have resigned too. So many people have resigned from Eric Adams' administration that I don't know who works at New York anymore. It's a lot of people. People nobody was talking to, by the way. Like people who just are like, I'm just in charge of the library, but I'm gonna go because the block is hot. I don't want these problems.
Give it up for Josh Johnson!
Before I came here in San Francisco, there was a pirate. No, it gets worse. There was a pirate threatening a tourist from Brazil with a blowtorch, right? Which as a pirate you really shouldn't even have because you're supposed to be on boats. You're supposed to be around a lot of wood. You shouldn't even have a blowtorch. That's not even a useful weapon for you, right? It should have been a sword. It should have been like a flint pistol, something. That would have made sense. If he had a flint pistol and he pulled it on him, even in the streets of San Francisco, I'd be like, he's on theme. But a full-on blowtorch, how, right? And when I tell you that this man was a pirate, I don't just mean that he was dressed like a pirate. I think he was a pirate. Like, I think he didn't seem like land was treating him well, okay? And so now he has a blowtorch, right? And he's cursing out this person who apparently is this tourist from Brazil, which also, if you're a tourist, I'm not saying don't go to San Francisco, but I'm saying if you are an international tourist coming to the United States, especially for the first time, and the first thing that happens when you get here is a pirate. A pirate roll up on you with a blowtorch, which in any language is confusing, by the way. Like, you don't need to be speaking English to understand that this is a wild scenario that's happening right now, right? And so, they're over here arguing. Now, the person who really saved the day was someone that worked at a coffee shop that saw what was happening outside, right? And so then they ran up and they were sneaking up behind the pirate, right? Getting real. Yeah, and it was one of those sneak ups where I was like, ooh, if he turned around, you cooked. Like, if he turned around, because he was quick with it, but he was very smooth with all his movements. But it took him a while to like get close, right? Like he was. You know what it looked like to me? Okay, like when you go to the zoo and something went wrong, and so then one of the zookeepers like trying to get them back in the cage. Or they trying to like let them know that that kid in front of you, that's not food, but they getting close real slow, like they're just like, okay, buddy, all right. It's because you know what it is? You can tell the level of danger somebody knows they're in as they're approaching by the hip movement. Because he wasn't just walking up like he really like was pivoting as he was getting in. He was like, all right. Okay, all right. It feels like if you use hips only to move forward, nobody will hear you. It's like almost a universal thing when people try to sneak up, That's why you don't see, you like, that's not how your grandparents sneak up or whatever. Because if they tried it, like if your grandma tried to sneak up behind you real good and everything, you just be hearing. So she's like, I'm gonna have to lean, right? But anyway, this dude is like sneaking up behind him, getting real close, and in an instant, snatches the blowtorch and runs off, right? So now we've sort of neutralized the main threat. But the pirate was like, you think I need that blowtorch? I'm a pirate in San Francisco. On the streets in 2024, I don't need weapons. My presence alone is a threat. And so then somebody's filming the whole thing, which normally I'm like, why do people do this? Why do people film instead of help? You know what I mean? Like, why do people just from afar and then they're filming and this is another person who could have been helping that because that guy's sneaking up by himself. He's just, you know what I mean? But then, as someone who watches all the videos, I do get it. Like, I do. You want to criticize it, but if it wasn't for this guy filming, I wouldn't know this was happening. This didn't make the news. It's just regular San Francisco 5 p.m., right? So then, sneaking up, snatches the blowtorch, runs off, right? Now, as he's running off, now this was almost cinematic. You couldn't have planned this better. Because as the coffee shop worker who was running off with the blowtorch passes the camera, like right as his head past the camera, you see that the pirate had already started punching, right? So it was just boom like that, right? Now this guy tries to roll with it, and he had good form, especially for a tourist that is being approached by a pirate. I would have just been hit. I would have just been like I don't think I would have moved. Like, this dude really rolled with the punch. Now, this is when the two nudists come into the picture, right? Because there were some nudists that were there anyway. They were gonna be naked no matter what. So when the two nudists come up, they're like, this is what we do. We didn't get, because a part of you, if you don't know anything about the culture, you thinking like, oh, they see a pirate, they're like, it must be safe to get naked. They just let you do whatever you want. So they were naked anyway, right? So then one of the nudists sees what just happened, sees that this tourist has been assaulted by this pirate. So then he run up and come in with his, it was really beautiful sequence, because basically the pirate was like, bow, right? And then the nudist comes up and it's like, bow. And then when the nudist swings, okay, so the nudist hit so hard that he did lose his footing, right? So then him and the pirate both fall. And now this is the first point in time where the pirate looks like somebody in this scenario is more uncomfortable than me, right? Like because you see, okay, so the pirate punches that dude and he's clearly like having his own journey, right? But what snaps him back to reality in a moment's time is not only being hit by the nudist, but when they both fall, you can see the pirate. Okay, so the pirate his back is to the camera and you can't really hear him, but you can hear this little like, and then him and the nudist are getting up. Now, if you think, I try to put myself in the mindset of everybody involved in the video, right? Because there's a lot going on, you know? We already got this hero who snatched the blowtorch. Now, this person, we don't know how long they've lived in San Francisco. We don't know how long they worked at the cop shop. We don't know how long they've known this pirate, right? But the way they sprung into action, you could tell it was like, I have to do something, right? They took it upon themselves. Now, as the tourist, I've already mentioned, you being accosted by this pirate, that's weird enough to make a person freeze, right? But for a second, I want all of us to put ourselves in the mind of the pirate, all right? Because the pirate, we don't know exactly what was going through this individual's mind, but we know it was something to do with maybe this tourist, maybe he thinks this tourist stole some of his booty, maybe he thinks maybe the tourist is standing on the X that he's trying to dig right now. We don't know what's going through his mind, okay? All we know is that he feels emboldened enough and passionate enough to start swinging. And as soon as he starts swinging, he gets a right cross from out of nowhere. He doesn't know anybody else is in this situation with him except this guy. And so then he gets his right cross, so he fall, and then the person that hit him also fall. And then when he looks forward, he sees a naked man. So you can see, even on the pirate, like, oh, I didn't sign up for this. This is too much. Wouldn't that be funny if the pirate was like, I'm a Christian, I don't really... But the pirate is also like getting up and everything. Now, the nudist was fast. So the nudist got up before the pirate really knew what happened, because you could tell the pirate calibrating. Like, when did he get naked? Was he always naked behind me? You could tell the pirate got other stuff on his mind. So he tried to get up, but he's also like, when did this guy... And so then the nudist gets up, and the nudist tries to get another lick in before the pirate can get up, because to be fair to everybody involved, you don't know how quick and strong this pirate is, right? Like, is this a PCP pirate? Or is this a meth pirate? Or is this a crack pirate? We don't know. There are categories. And we don't know which one he falls into. You got your first lucky shot on him and that didn't knock him out, so now you're in trouble, right? So the nudist gets up quick, and when the nudist, okay, he goes to do this thing that you really only see happen in like bus fights, where the pirate's still on the ground and he tries to do a little like, pow! Like he tries to do like an uppercut as he's getting up, and I think he misses. He either missed or it didn't faze the pirate at all. He probably got hit and was still like, where did this guy come from? Because also the nudists were white. And so it's on top of seeing a naked man, you just seeing shades of pink coming at you. Because you got to remember, this nudist ready to fight. So you're not in a regular fight with another dude. Like, also, by the way, I'm pretty sure if I remember the video correctly, the tourist has not left, but he has taken... He's taking the position of an audience member. He's just like, man, it's crazy. And so then the pirate tries to get that extra lick in, and I think he missed and everything. And then the pirate, they have a couple more little scuffles, because you can tell that the pirate trying to like fight, but he's not trying to get too close. Which is, look, as far as a tactic, because there's a lot that people don't know about martial arts. There's a lot people don't know about self-defense. And it didn't occur to me until I saw that video that man to man, for real, like if you ever in a fight and you don't really want to fight, and you know your opponent doesn't have a gun, right? It's just man on man fisticuffs, right? It would help to get naked. I think the level to which somebody want to fight you goes down the more naked you get. You know what I mean? Like if we have, like you bigger than me, if we have problems right now and you coming at me, but I'm just, like that switches things up for you. Because now you like, what am I going to punch? Like, am I going to, because even if you win it, you don't really want to, even if you punching, you just don't really want the risk of touching balls like that. Like if you, because let's say we going head body, but then I go high and you go low, and now all of a sudden my whole knuckles get grazed. But you see, y'all groaning, but I'm right. You don't want to fight now. Next time somebody try you in the street, fellas, just start. Because dudes already take their shirt off. The problem is they not stopping. That's the problem. They're not stopping the whole fight by just taking the rest off. Because the shirt is like, you're not going to be that encumbered by the shirt, right? Yeah. Might as well drop the pants. Yeah. Even take the shoes off. Really confuse them, right? Yeah. And so you can tell that the pirate really doesn't want to like fully get in there. And so the whole thing starts to just fall apart. And the whole time I was thinking like, wow. I was trying, once again, put myself in the mindset of everybody involved. Like we went through what the tourist must have been thinking, what the pirate must have been thinking. Even the nudist. Nudist had to have something going on in his head to be like, I have to help. This guy has a blowtorch. And even though somebody just took it from him, he's clearly trying to attack this person. He just attacked this person. I need to do something, right? I should call somebody. But you don't have any pockets. I wonder if he reached for it too, like we need to get the police. I guess it's me then. Then he ran in like a Superman with his balls out, right? But what I really can't shake is what must have been going on in that And that second nudist mind. Because both nudists, they were together, by the way. I don't want you to think in the story there was one nudist and then another nudist. They knew each other, right? Maybe they were just walking, enjoying a day, sunning. And then they see all this yelling going on. What was that? What could be happening? And then they see this guy has a blowtorch to his side. They're like, oh, I hope he doesn't intend to use it. And then, they see this guy strike, and then, first nudist just jumps in, starts swinging. Doesn't really have his footing right, doesn't really have his hands ready, but he's trying. That second nudist must have been like, damn, I think they got it. Like, I think they good, you know what I mean? I do like how, I'm not saying they waited in a way that, I don't mean this person was being courageous for stepping in, but I do understand the self-preservation that takes place where you wait to jump in till that blowtorch is gone, because I'm naked. That blowtorch might burn that tourist, but it would change my life. Yeah. No, it's wild stuff. Oh, I also want to say real quick, thank y'all so much for coming to the show. Thank y'all for being here. Thank you for an amazing weekend and everything. I don't know, when y'all might have seen me for the first time or anything, or what maybe video it was. I've been posting to YouTube for like a year now, and I started it a year ago where I was just like, just sharing like my thoughts on things, sharing my jokes, feelings on stuff, and I appreciate it because it really, I don't know, that was the thing that really turned everything around, and I got to, in some ways, like meet you, and now I'm getting to meet you for real, and I appreciate this opportunity because it's like, I don't know when you may have seen your first video, or if you even know who I am. You might be like, she brought me. Like, that's also very fair. I will not be offended at all, right? But I appreciate you, for real. I appreciate you taking a chance on me and coming here to have a good time and letting me talk to you and everything. I've done lots of shows that were not. I've done shows where they didn't know I was coming, right? I've done shows where they booked me to do the show, and then I show up, and they're like, "Oh, we also gonna play the Blackhawks game behind you." And I'm like, "Oh, does anybody want a show?" He's like, "No, it's a surprise." Don't surprise. So I've definitely done shows that were, on the rough side because people weren't there to hear what I was gonna say, and I get it. I do get it. That's why I don't take anything lightly, that I get to be here in front of you. And everything that I say, I'm not always going to be perfect, but I try to be thoughtful about what I'm saying, And I think sometimes when you bring something up, because you do comedy, people think whatever you bring up, you're making light of to trash it, or that's why sometimes people get uncomfortable when you talk about anything and you're a comic. They're like, oh, this person's going to be shitty, right? They're going to be shitty about a thing that I care about. And just because I'm talking about something doesn't mean I'm belittling it, right? Like there's a lot of stuff that I take very seriously, but I still feel like I need to talk about because conversation is important, And oh, thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks. We'll see. It's been a scary day, It has. It's like, I hope you're not finding out from me. But someone at a rally, someone, don't do that. I'm just telling you what happened. At a rally, someone shot at Trump while he was doing his rally, and I still don't know. There's so much we don't know, but some people say it was a bullet and some people say it was glass, but either way, he got a cut over his ear and the person that was behind him got shot and they died. Right? And they've apparently shot the suspected gunman and everything, and it's just it's one of the wildest days in a long time, because there are days that are like checkpoints throughout American history. Like we had a birth as a country, and then you can set the checkpoints wherever you want, but there are big ones. There are big ones like the country starts and then there's a civil war later, right? And the Civil War is a turning point for the country forever. You know what I mean? There are people that even now say like we're more divided than ever, and I like to remind them that we did have a civil war. You know what I mean? Like that's than ever, then you need to read a history book. Than ever. Ever? No, not ever. You know? So you have something like the turning point that happens due to a civil war, which even now, even to this day, hundreds of years, there are people that are hundreds of years removed from the people leading up to the civil war that were in their family, that they still have differing opinions on like the Civil War, why it happened, how it went down, what should have happened, right? And then you have Lincoln's assassination. That's another turning point for the country forever, right? Because once things are put on the table with time, they're never taken off. There's always something that could happen, you know? And then you fast forward more, and we've had turning points. We've had really scary days. And people can belittle it as much as they want or whatever, but we've had times where we're like, oh, are we a country anymore? And so you see those moments like that, right? And there are people who are even now, they're afraid, right? They're afraid that there's going to be another version of the Civil War, right? Because the people that hate people so much throughout this country for whatever political affiliation for whatever they say. This is the thing about being online as well. When you go around, I go everywhere. I try to go everywhere. And I'm trying to meet people everywhere. And when I meet these people, almost all the people, and some of them are having a bad day, some of them have had a past, but most people, pretty pleasant, right? It's easy to forget that online. Because online, people have the safety to be a troll, and there's also bots. So you could go through your life and bump into people all day and have nothing but beautiful experiences. But then you get online and you post a picture of yourself because you're happy about, maybe something that you bought and you look good in. And there's all the comments under it. Why are you wearing that skirt, bitch? It's like that is happening in real life, but that is not real life, right? The people that you meet in person are real life. The people that you meet every day, that's real life, right? So I'm not saying it's real life as in it doesn't matter. I'm specifically saying that like the grace that you give in person is that's our better nature. That's what we would hopefully have all the time. It's being online that makes people monsters to you before you meet them. You look at those pinpoints, and there are people that are worried about us falling into the trap of another civil war, like so much hate, right? And I personally don't think that's gonna happen. I'm not just hopeful, I actually don't think that's gonna happen, because if I'm being honest with everyone in here, we don't have the grit. I'm not saying that there aren't people with guns. I'm not saying that people have murderous intentions for their fellow Americans. I'm saying that as a country, we would get tired too fast. We would. Like, it would be day 8, and there'd be people in America wake up on whatever side you on being like, again? No, I'm not saying that violence is impossible, and I pray it doesn't happen. I pray even more now that it doesn't happen than I did before. But I think that it's not going to split up the way that it did. You got to remember, the country was full of colonies, and travel was difficult. So when the country split and we had our full-on civil war, it was a different time, truly, right? And now you have family that lives here, you have family that lives over there, you have family who's moving. Because we're too interconnected now in a way that I think is good, in a way that actually forms a union, right? We're quilted together now. So no matter how you split us up, whether it's north and south, east and west, eventually, whatever side of the war you're on, eventually someone would be like, I just want a good taco. You know, I believe what I believe in, whatever, but I cannot have another bagel. I am stopped up. For my health, I can't do it. Mm-hmm. And we don't know anything yet. Like, we really don't. Everyone's talking, right? It just happened. So everybody is talking, you know? It happened like 6 hours ago, and everybody's talking, everybody's speculating. There's already the conspiracy theories. There's already like some vitriol started. There's already, we don't know, and we can't act like we know just because we feel a lot, right? Because this is the other thing. You talk about pinpoints in time. You talk about checkpoints. Civil War then leads to Lincoln's assassination. That's another checkpoint that we cannot come back from, because once things are on the table, they're on the table for the rest of time. That's why you have to be careful what you say and what you do, you know? And so then you fast forward even more. It makes me think about the assassination attempt on Reagan. Because Reagan, you know, Reagan still is one of those figures that's like either beloved or absolutely despised, right? The policies they put forward and the aftermath afterward, you know, people feel how they feel about it, right? But when you think about that person that shot Reagan, right? We were in a different time of division back then. It was still pretty, you know, relatively civil, relatively ideal by today's standards, right? But let's say we had lost our minds then and been like, oh, this is a plot, this is an inside job, this is a conspiracy. Let's say we lost our minds when Reagan got shot, and then you actually talk to the shooter, and then you find out why he did. He's like, oh, I just wanted Jodie Foster to like me. Imagine that, though. Imagine if we had lost our minds. Imagine if we had had some sort of civil war, some sort of backlash, some sort of retribution over here, all for somebody who's like, did Jodie Foster see it, or just trying to find out what Jodie doing? That's my thing. That's my sincere hope, right? I'm hopeful, and I hope you know that I pray for all of you. I pray for all of us, like I do. And even if you don't subscribe to it, whatever metaphysical subscription you hold, right? You know? Because at the end of the day, we really are all Americans. I know it doesn't feel that way, but every one of us, just by the reaction that y'all had when I told you that somebody died, you know that we all still have our humanity. We don't want to see anything bad actually happen to anybody, because you don't know that person. You don't know anything about the person that died today, but you know that they were an American, and you know they were a human being, right? And so I think that what I've decided when it happened, And I can only speak for me. I'm not going to tell you what to do. No matter anyone listening to me, you can do what you want. But when I saw it happen, I decided in that moment that this right here is where I'm going to plant my feet, right? I'm not going to let this make me radical one way or the other. I'm not going to lose my mind because we don't know. And two, the humanity we show to each other just in passing, that's really important. And honestly, all this is going to be funny again in a minute. I haven't forgotten, like I didn't forget. Like I wasn't like, let me get him with the yuck yucks, now lock the door. Like I just hope, like my sincere hope is that this can be the thing that like scares us straight. You know what I mean? Like this can be the thing. It's like, oh, actually, you know what? I don't actually want any violence. I don't want anything bad to happen. You know what I mean? Because they're snowballs, right? So I just, you know, I think about that, and I think about, if you're not familiar with the show Scared Straight, basically what they do is they take kids, right? Then kids who are pretty bad, right? They're like bad kids, and then and the kids are very hard to root for because by the beginning of the episode, they're always like, I punched my grandma in her face, right? And then they take them to jail and they spend a weekend at jail because it really just takes a weekend. They spend a weekend at jail with the inmates, and then they try to do what they do at home with the inmates. Like, I punched my grandma in the face, and then one of the inmates is like, kiss me. And it's just, it changes, right? It changes the vibe. And I'm not saying it works for every kid, by the way. I'm not saying that this is a foolproof thing. We can talk about child psychology however you want, but I'm saying for the kids that it does work for, it was actually something bad happening that woke them up, right? It wasn't just me coming to my senses one day. It was like, this is rock bottom. You know? You don't just wait for rock bottom. You don't just try to fall until you find it. You can decide it for yourself. This feels like granite. I think I'll stop here, right? But I also know that, like, sometimes if you don't say anything, if the thing goes unsaid, people think it goes unthought, right? And if you don't reach out to people, people don't know you care about them. I care truly. And people are going to feel the way they feel about me or feel about me talking about this, but I care about every single American in a serious way. We're a country, and we're a country of people that are different. We're a family of people that sometimes hate each other. That's what family does most of the time. I went and got a dentist through unconventional means. Basically, my dentist was handing out coupons. You know the little door knocker coupons that they put on the doorknob? Okay, so my dentist had been putting those on the doors in my neighborhood, and so I came home one day and I grabbed it and came inside. It was that and 2 pizza coupons, and I was reading it. I really don't even remember what the deals were, but this is when everybody was trying to make everything a coupon, like in 2013, 14, when everybody was like Groupon was big and all this stuff like that. Like, you know, I don't remember what the deals were, but it was like 2 teeth get 1 free. Whatever it was, I don't remember. All I remember is there was a teeth cleaning on there, and so I was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna go get my teeth cleaned at my new dentist, you know, because if this dentist has coupons, this is the dentist for me. I have no money. And I didn't have like dental or anything, so I was like, I need any break I can get. Now, I went there, and the dental assistant was very professional. She was very good, you know? And that's my thing, is that any professional of any type, you want them to be confident in their competence, right? Like, you want that's why you lean on them, because they look like they know what they're doing, and they have the confidence somebody that knows what they're doing, so you just leave it to them, right? If there's any point where you have to question that, it ruins the whole like I've been on the bus before where the bus driver looked lost. And I'm sitting, I'm like, why is he checking his phone? Like, but I'm in this dentist office. The dental assistant is amazing, and she's, very quick, and she's asking me the questions. They even do the x-ray of my teeth where they put the thing in their mouth. They're like, doo, 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 doo. That's your teeth, right? Like, she did all that stuff. And then my dentist comes in. And my dentist, my new dentist, walks in, and he is very clearly missing a tooth. And it's not like a wide smile, back of the mouth chewing tooth. This is one of the stars of the show. This is one of the teeth that when you smile goes like, ba-da, like it's. And so he missed, I don't know how to describe this, but he missing the tooth hard. Like he might as well be missing two teeth the way he missing this tooth, because it's not a center tooth, but it's one of those teeth where because it's missing, I don't know how big it should be, so it feel like he missing the whole front row. Like it's very distracting, right? And so then he come in, and I don't know if it was recent that he lost his tooth or something, but the space in relation to his tongue is causing some slippage, and it's making him lisp, right? And so he walks in, and he's like, "Hi, how are you? Have a seat." Because I stood up to shake his hand and everything. He's like, "Yeah, have a seat." And I'm like, and then this dude is like, so he's sitting next to me, right? And he's talking, and he's asking me all the questions. And then so, how much do you floss? And this, so I was getting upset in the chair because, he's asking me, how much do you floss? And I'm like, oh, I floss every day. He's like, are you sore? And I'm like, I got so upset. I didn't say this out loud. I said it in my head, but I was like, okay, but which one of us is missing? You know what I mean? Like, how dare you question what I'm doing over here when I'm working with a full set? You know what I mean? Like that. That's why. Are you sore? Like, I was like, that's unacceptable. Cause he was getting snippy with it, which I didn't like. That's attitude, right? And so then I'm like, yeah, I'm sure. And then I don't like how he's going about it, because you know how the dentist will, sometimes the dental assistant will do it, but sometimes the dentist specifically will go through with the floss again and go over the dental assistant's work if they didn't feel like they did it right. And then he was grabbing all the tools, like the little sharp, little poking, the tools of the devil, right? He was grabbing all of them, and he was in my mouth and everything. And I don't know how to describe this, but I don't like, he being rough with my mouth, you know what I mean? And he being rough in a way that's like, like when you driving and somebody got a beat up car, so they driving reckless because they don't care. They don't care anymore what happens to their car, so they might as well bust up your car because their car's already doomed, right? And you'll see it'll be like a busted tail light and just no bumper at all, and they taking some real risks without turning lights on, right? They won't have that blinker on at all. They just be picking whatever lane they want because they're like, hit me, I dare you, right? Hit me. You might knock something back right. You'll be doing me a favor. Go ahead and hit me, okay? And so that's how he's being in my mouth, because he's really like going hard, and then he gets to the tooth on me that he missing, and he really give it up. And I'm like, that's not okay, Just because it's over for you doesn't mean, like I still have a future, you know what I mean? Like, how dare you do that? And so then So then, I don't know if it's because I'm young and I'm just like not really thinking, or because I'm awkward in a lot of social situations anyway. But finally, I was just like, so what happened?
What just happened?
And then this man had the nerve to go, what, this? What else could I mean, sir? No, there's something on your lip. No. He's like, oh, this? I was like, yeah. And then he takes the tools out, the little hose that they have in your mouth, and just sucking up all. Puts that to the side, puts the tools down, puts his hands on his knees, and goes. Got sullen, right? I felt bad for asking. He got really quiet and sullen. He was like, I hoped you wouldn't notice. Sir, you came in here teeth first. Smiling in my face, and you thought I wouldn't notice one of the main teeth.
Rude.
I can't stress this enough. Like, it was one of the teeth that if he committed a crime, that would be how they got him. Like, that's... Do you know what I mean? Like if he stole something tonight, they'd be like, it was this one that was... You know what I mean? Didn't even have a gold tooth in there. Didn't even have something to be like, oh, I'm a different type of dentist, right? It didn't... Just avoid. And it was big enough I could see through, like I could see his throat. Like it was... And he got sullen and he was like, it's actually recent. I was out with some friends. And this is my thing. Okay, like, I know he telling me the story because it wasn't even my business, so he didn't have to tell me anything. So I know he's doing me a favor by telling me the story, but I swear to you, this man hit every S possible in this story. He didn't avoid any of them. I was like, what are you doing right now? Bro, every single S? That's crazy. So he's like, so I was at Buffalo Wild Wings. I was out with some friends, and we were watching the sports on the little sports center they have with all the TVs and everything. There was one of my friends that I hadn't seen in a very long time from college. It was very serendipitous, and I was like, that... Don't do that. You didn't need that one at all. That was... You could have said fortunate. That... And so then, we're sitting there, and I was having a good old time. I was sucking the sauce off my fingers and everything. And then there were some guys a few booths away that I would start jawing at one of my friends. I guess they knew him from his past or something. And so then they would start talking, over at us. And so then, we went over there and then, they were out here talking shit. And it's like truly some of the most Chicago shit I've ever heard in my life, because these like out here talking shit, and then I went ahead and I popped one in their mouth, and then he popped me right back, and I swallowed, so that's why I'm missing the tooth, and I heard that and I was like, oh. Oh, is that all? Okay, go ahead. Go back to work. Yeah. You a good dentist. You was not a good fighter. I get you. Okay. Yeah. Maybe next time, let them talk, you know?
When I get, when I get, when I get, me that, when I get.
Fargo, North Dakota. Make some noise for Josh Johnson!
I've had doctors that really just felt like they were piecing it together as we went. You know what I mean? Like truly. Like one time, I don't even know what it was. I had something on my leg that was like concerning me, right? And so I went to the doctor and I'm telling him about it. I'm sitting in his office going over it, going like when it happened, everything, how worried I am because I've never seen anything like this before, and how I've just been like feeling like tired all the time. So I'm wondering if it has something to do with this. And he's like, yeah. And I was like, do you want to take a look at it? He's like, yeah, we'll get to it. And then he stands up, grabs like all the stuff, stethoscope, stuff that he, I guess he gonna listen to it. I don't know what the plan is. But then he's like, go ahead and stand up and you can drop your you can drop your pants. And like I'm like, why are you seem nervous? Like it was just do you know what I mean? Like it's not like we're buds. Like I have to do this now. And we've talked about it thoroughly. Like, you know where the thing is, like upper thigh, right? And so then I like open my belt buckle, I unzip, I start dropping my pants, and maybe I did too fast for him because he was like, oh, pause. I was like, pause? Not a doctor. Say pause. Oh. Because it's tough and it's scary because we only know a medieval amount about how to keep ourselves alive. We think we're smarter because we have more access to information, but even with that access, some people don't want the information. There are people that are straight up, like I used to think from the bottom of my heart, oh, if people just knew, if you knew better, you'd do better. I used to like live by that mantra. And now I'm realizing, no, some people don't want to know. Some people would like to do exactly what they do now. Because to me, I go to a doctor because I'm like, you're a professional. The hope is that you know what's going to be going on, so I don't need to learn about what's going on while it's happening to me, because that's how you die slowly. You know what I mean? I don't want to be sitting on my deathbed like, I figured it out. And so you go to a doctor, because doctors supposed to know. But now there are people who will admit that they don't know, but they'll also be like, nah, he doesn't know either. And it's like, look, I'm not saying doctors know everything, but we, as the general public, we have like a certain amount of knowledge that helps keep us alive. And the rest is other people that we've never met being like, don't eat the lettuce this week. There's E. coli everywhere. And without them, I wouldn't know that. I'd be hitting the lettuce hard. I'd be like, look at how healthy I am. I'm mid-salad right now. Oh, you do your best. Everyone is doing their best. Don't think that I think people aren't doing their absolute best. Even when they don't do what I agree with, even when they don't do things that I think are like common sense. People are doing their best, you know? It's just sometimes someone's best shouldn't be here. Do you know what I mean? You could have all the good intentions in the world, but if your best is like subpar, it should probably get you out of there. Let you be a cheerleader. Because I've been through all manner of like medical things. Luckily, nothing so serious that it was like fundamentally life-threatening for long. I'm very thankful that I don't deal with like chronic pain or conditions that I know people in my life do that make them have to adjust plans, cancel plans, make them have to adjust their life, make them have to be thinking about this thing all the time. I luckily don't have to think about my body all the time, you know? But I know a lot of people that do. I know a lot of people that depend on those experts for things that if we were going off of my knowledge, most of this room would be dead. No? I don't claim to be an expert, but I feel like there's this weird place we've gotten to where it used to be knowing something was like a big deal. Oh, ask them, they know, right? And now questioning something is as big of a deal as knowing something. And I'm not saying questions are bad. I just think that at a certain point, we need to distinguish the people who only ever ask questions from the people who actually know things. Do you know what I mean? You should ask questions. I don't want anyone to blindly follow anyone. I'm just saying that when people say do your own research, some of them haven't researched. Research is boring. If you weren't bored during your research, if you just strung a marathon of documentaries on YouTube together, I bet you that wasn't research though. I'm not even saying everything you learned was wrong. I'm just saying like research usually takes time, takes years of your life, takes dedicated study and attention. Real research, knowing something, you have to give something to know something. It takes nothing to just pick things apart until you confuse everyone. Do you know what I mean? And so I said all that because I've made mistakes in my life. I didn't know the difference between the emergency room and urgent care. I wish that they give one of them a less immediate name. I didn't know they weren't interchangeable, all right? It's the emergency room and then it's urgent care. Well, I urgently need help for my emergency, so what should I do? Where does that leave us now? I'm at a fork in the road and whichever I pick sounds like they'll help me quickly. Turns out emergency rooms are for like life-threatening, immediate care. Urgent care is for when you got like a headache. Urgent care, look, and this is not to disparage anyone that works in any place. It's just that urgent care stories, I know people who work in urgent care, and I know people who work in emergency rooms, and the emergency room stories, I should have known to go to the emergency room if it was more serious, because the emergency stories are so much more horrific in nature than the urgent care stories. Like, the urgent care stories are like, yeah, this dude came in and he was filling out his paperwork, but his nose was bleeding the whole time. Kind of got all over the paper. And then he handed it back to me and I was like, ugh. Emergency room stories are like, there was a dude today that, and also anyone who's ever worked in an emergency room and then told me an emergency room story has 1,000-yard stare. They're not talking to me. They might be talking to God. They might be asking God, why would you let me see something like that? I got into this business to help people. I really want to help and heal, and you show me the devil. I don't want to see that ever again. Because what they will tell me with that wide stare is like, yeah, this guy came in today and his leg was, and it's like, I don't know what that is. That blinking? Sometimes they will just blink in silence. I'm like, is it in the room right now? This guy came in today and his leg was in his chest. You sure this wasn't a dream? No. Like, I went to urgent care one time and genuinely was sicker than when I walked in. When I left, I walked to the urgent care and I had an appointment, and which is odd because I thought you were supposed to be able to just run up in there, but get to urgent care. I have my appointment, and the person at the front, look, God bless them, truly. I know they were just doing their best, but they could not stop sneezing and coughing openly. And so I was like, oh, like I'm backing away from this. I'm like, yeah, so do you want me to just go right over there? Do you want me to just walk around you and go back there? He's like, oh, the doctor's not ready yet. I was like, you can go first, dog. Like, if you, I mean, you're already here and you here all day, and like, I don't know, you're probably killing everybody, so if you want to go, that's supposed to be the benefit of working here, right? That you already here in case you need to be here. And he was like, oh, don't worry, it's not COVID. And I was like, that wasn't my concern at all. I wasn't wondering if it was COVID. I was wondering why it was happening right now to you. Like, I want you to be well. That would be better for everybody in here, because we all came sick, and if we all mix our sick together right now, I'm pretty sure we'll get a new thing, and I don't want that to happen. No, and then my man sent me back so the doctor could cough in my mouth. Everybody had it, whatever it was, everybody had it. But now, when you go to the emergency room, let's say that's closer than urgent care, and you're like, you know what, I'll just go right now. And then you get in there, and even if you have a terrible migraine, when you look around an emergency room, it does make you self-conscious about your sickness. The same way where you like go to the gym for the first time in 8 years and you looking around at all the people who are like already swole. When you get to an emergency room and you're not that sick and then you just see people holding bullet wounds closed, you're like, you can go before me if you want. Like, I'm... And so, it's all important stuff. It's hard for us to stay healthy because it's already hard for us to live. You have to do everything that it takes to like have a life, keep people alive if you've made people, and be healthy. And I don't know, maybe it's just the way that we work as a country, but we're so back and forth and 100% all the time. All gas, no brakes, all the time, always behind, fighting, trying to get back in black, fighting that red line, fighting that poverty line, to the point where there are people who genuinely believe they don't have time. Oh, you could do this. This is the healthier thing to do. Oh, make some time for this. I don't have time, right? By the time I get home, I'm exhausted. I just want to sleep. Can I at least have sleep? And so it's tough, you know, even when it comes to eating, even when it comes to like what we know to eat to be healthy. It changes. And sometimes it changes because we find out something. And then sometimes it changes because a company is like, actually, there's a lot of money in kale. You remember kale? You remember that thing that we used to put at the bottom of every salad bar? You know, it used to be the floor of the salad bar. You would go to a Pizza Hut and there would be kale wrapped around the pizza. Not on the pizza, under the pizza. Just to use kale as like foliage. And then one day somebody was like, hey, we growing all this kale. You ever taste some? You ever bite down into that kale? It's probably good for you. And then takes off, becomes a whole craze. I'm always blown away with food crazes of food that we've been eating. We've all been alive for a while now, but every year there will be some superfood that's a food we were already aware of. Remember when avocados had their day? Remember when avocado was like, have you no, your skin. And there's vitamins that it's so good for you, your skin. Do you want more skin? Your skin. It's so good for you. See, you have extra skin under your skin. You'll be so healthy. You remember coconut oil. There was a year where coconut oil could do no wrong. They were like, no, put it on your skin. Lather yourself up at night. You'll just be so moisturized. Put in your hair. It'll get all the dirty stuff out of your hair. It'll clear out your pores in the hair and everything. Get the hair follicle all nice and juicy and stuff. Eat it. Cook with it. It's so good. It'll be good it'll fix your skin from the inside. It'll be delicious and it'll fill it. Ooh, it'll be like all of your organs have new skin. And then somebody else came out with a study that was like, oh, actually don't do any of that. Like it's actually gonna fully clog your pores. It's gonna clog the pores of your hair. And if you eat it, it's gonna be like a little too loose in your heart while your heart's trying to pump blood. I don't know what they said, but they turned on it in a day. And you would think that all this stuff is happening because we're finding out all these things. But what's really happening is all of these narratives are competing at the same time. There are people who have a vested interest in you eating as much meat as possible. And then there are people who have a vested interest in you eating no meat at all. And I don't even mean on a political front. I'm not even talking about environmentalists versus like vegans versus people who have money in Big Cow. I'm talking about genuinely there are people who believe, for whatever reasons they've come to, that they've concluded that they believe this thing is good for you, this thing is bad for you, and then they put it out into the world. And because we have the internet, you could look up anything, and anything is as good for you as it is bad for you. And that is scary when you know what a medieval amount to keep yourself alive. I'm not claiming to be smarter than anybody, and I try to listen to experts, and I try to do my quote-unquote own research. It's a lot of reading. It's pretty boring. That's why I feel like I'm doing the right thing. But it's still tough to know. I'm not coming down on people for not knowing. I think it's mostly that if someone went to all the trouble to know, maybe that should mean something. I say this because RFK Jr. is the head of health and human services. And if you're not familiar with RFK Jr., he has a very specific sound, very specific way of speaking and thinking, and he's on a real health kick as a whole personality, all right? And it's unfortunate that so much of that is what feels like riddled with internet. I've never seen someone so interested in health and the science of health without just getting into the science of health. Do you know what I mean? It would be like me knowing every stat that there is to know about basketball. But then when someone rolled me a ball or even tossed me a ball. Maybe I'm playing my first pickup game of basketball. With all of this knowledge I supposedly have of the game, I know plays, I know players, I know stats, I know strategies, and then someone actually passes me the ball and I go, there are things that RFK Jr. has said and done they don't just worry me. You know what I mean? They don't just like worry me. They actively go against, like, it's one thing if you have one theory. I let everybody be subversive about like one thing to me because I'm like, all right, you might be right about this thing. Who knows? Let's investigate, right? When you have 90, nah, dog, this is bad. I don't even like repeating some of the things that he said because it makes it, if I repeat it, I sound like I think it because it takes me so long to explain what he thought that I sound like I think it too, and I would rather not. You know, during his confirmation hearing, he said a lot of things that didn't quite fall in line with what he had been saying before he was trying to get confirmed, you know? So he said a lot of the right things to go ahead and get confirmed. And look, he was probably gonna get confirmed no matter what. You know, there was a majority that was gonna push him through, most likely, no matter what he said. And then he gets in, and this is the most troubling thing to me about like RFK Jr. is that there are moments where he'll say something that is like, not only like not crazy, it's like the thing that everyone was hoping somebody would say. And then he'll quickly follow it up with a thing that no one has ever said. And you're like, oh, you had us for like a half second. You know, like, because RFK Jr. has talked about like trying to remove all the dyes out of the foods, like out of the candies and out of the like crackers, all the stuff like that, out of the chips. It's like, that's actually a good thing. That would be good. Everyone else already removed it. Like, these companies may be international, but when you go to Europe, it's a different chip. That's not, they don't, and that's specifically because Europe was like, we don't do that to our people. So you should, if you want to be here, you can change it, but you have to change it. It can't just be whatever you want it to be, right? And so when RFK Jr. says, like, I'm trying to get all these additives out of the food, all these dyes, all these things, it's like, oh, wow, that's great. That I like that. And then he's like, and we need a registry for autism. And you're like, oh! In what world? What are you doing? It's so deeply frustrating. You know? Because it's like, that the whole thing, the whole thing that is that is frustrating about it is that it is someone who, even in the face of experts, would rather not challenge those experts and prove them wrong to their face, just more talk to people who honestly and earnestly are trying to find out and don't know and lead them. You don't see him engaging in like real debate with a doctor who's made the thing their life, who's done the true research, and who's done it over time. I'm not saying science and doctors can never be wrong. I'm saying those are the people you should be having these spats with, instead of going on podcasts and convincing people who also didn't do the thing. They didn't make that their life's work, and then leading them down a path where we're not really sure how bad it could get. And this is in the midst of Doge and other things cutting jobs for like the National Health Institutes, you know, cutting jobs at the FDA, cutting jobs in all these places where we need these things. In fact, there have been rollbacks on things that help us prevent things in the future, on research for the future of what might be going on somewhere else, is what scientists are thinking about all the time, when this thing might happen, right? And if you roll back on that, you won't see the effect right away. You may not even see it for a long time. But then when we are behind, because we used to be the leader, and we're quickly losing our first place position in being who the world looks to figure out new illnesses, to figure out, even with old ones, we can still figure out vaccines. We can still figure out all of these different aspects of how to keep people healthy and alive. And when you roll them back in ways that seem like they don't matter, or at least you don't want to give attention to, the effects we won't know the widespread effect of it. You know, and I'm worried because RFK Jr. got in under this whole like make America healthy again attitude. It was sort of a mantra, right? And I understand that he's like a 70-year-old guy that bench presses. But I would like to, if I can, be healthier than RFK Jr. because he doesn't seem healthy. I haven't seen his blood work. I'm not saying I don't know, but he doesn't seem healthy because he does a lot of stuff that doesn't seem to lead to health. Long before he was ever confirmed for the head of Health and Human Services, there was a picture of RFK Jr., one of many, but there was a particular picture of RFK Jr. walking out of an airplane bathroom, barefoot. And when I saw it, I rebuked the picture. I was like, that will not be in my life. No, thank you. I'm not a doctor. I'm not even a scientist. But please wear some form of footwear into the airplane bathroom. You had shoes when you got on the plane. What happened? What happened between the seat and the bathroom that you were like, I gotta get these off? I'm too restrained. This man went swimming in a DC creek that's been known for I'm pretty sure decades, that place is nasty. It's so okay. It's so nasty that the place is nasty. It's so nasty that they have a sign saying, "We nasty. Don't swim here, it's nasty." And sure, it's like this flowing creek and everything, but it's been known for a long time that sewage leaks into that creek. And he hopped in with the same feet that he walked out of that airplane bathroom with. Hopped in feet first, probably didn't even dip his toe in, was like, yeah. Swimming in the creek with his grandchildren, I'm pretty sure. And his dog. You're the head of Health and Human Services. Do us the service of being a healthy human. This is so crazy that we're watching you. It would be like watching the Secretary of Defense play Russian roulette. It's like, so you're not gonna be here long then. Why would you do that? Don't do that. We want you to be alive. It's so frustrating. Man has a congressional hearing where they're asking him about his belief. They're asking him about things that he said since he's been confirmed and stuff. And this man basically says, don't take medical advice from me. There's a part of me that almost respects that. There's a part of me that almost respects that. Let me tell you why. Because I have been, an hourly worker several times in my life. I've had lots of odd jobs that pay by the hour. I've had lots of I won't call them corporate, but just established corporation jobs that pay, by the hour. And the problem with hourly work, whether you're talking about me or anyone I've ever interacted with, especially from a customer service perspective, the problem with hourly work is I'm not sure if we're meeting at the hour you care about this job. I may have caught you at a bad time at work. There's 4 types of hourly workers. There are the hourly workers who are they start off great, especially when we're talking customer service. You start off great. I was here. You start off great. You clock in, you got a good attitude, you're ready to go. Nothing's happened yet. And then, a few hours into dealing with the public, you have been beat down to a place of which you're not sure you can recover. And you're thinking about how this is Monday. So, my life, Then there's an hourly worker that really starts to perk up the last 2 hours of shift. They're almost home. They're almost out of here. They're smiling at you because they almost don't have to see you. We're almost through with each other. I'm so close. Let's bring it home strong. Then there's the hourly worker that genuinely loves their job. Then there's the hourly worker who hates their job so much that from clock in to clock out, they are here to make sure that you hate their job too. Right? And at different points in my life, I've been a couple of these different workers, Sometimes I had a job where I could clock in and then I was good attitude, good everything. And then people just, whether they're impatient or they're rude or they're nasty, they just beat you down and you try to not let the last interaction affect the next interaction. But after a while, you just get to the point where you just got that face, that almost like a 1,000-yard stare. And you're trying to do your job, but you just want to be and his leg was in his chest. And I've also been that person that's had that job that I'm oh, I can't wait to quit this job. I can't wait to get out of here. And you know what? The closest thing to quitting this job is clocking out of this job. I love clocking out so much. Sometimes I do it twice. I love clocking out. It's my favorite thing. Sometimes I actually worked a couple different jobs where back in the day you actually had the timesheet that did the and then shot the paper back up, and that was extra fun. I would watch it. I'd watch it in slow motion in my mind. I'd be like, yep, zip, zip, and zip, zip, and look at you marked and ready to go. I'm out of here. I'm leaving forever, just tonight, but forever. And then, admittedly, I did have jobs that I really loved. I really enjoyed clocking in and having a great time with my coworkers, and I enjoyed the job that I was doing. And even if it was something to do with the public, you have your jerks once in a while, but for the most part, it was phenomenal. And I got great experiences out of it, and I'd clock out, I'd go home, I'd start again the next day. And then I had jobs where I was oh, okay. I don't want anybody to hate their life, but they're gonna know I hate mine. And there's something in the spirit of an hourly worker that's in the middle of doing their job that's oh, don't do what I do. That is what I heard at that hearing. Guys, don't follow my advice. I don't know. I be saying stuff. No. No, it's tough because it's hard to know that everyone has different levels of access and different levels of knowledge on how to keep ourselves healthy. And when you have things getting rolled back, EPA regulations, FDA regulations, when you have people looking out less and less for the quality of drinking water, when you have people looking out less and less for what the next potential virus might be, you get yourself into some real trouble. And then they kick it back to us. They kick it back to us every time. They roll that thing back. They fire those people who, I'm not going to say every single person loved their job, but they roll things back to the point where now more people have more burden on them and less support to try to get us to where we need to be, at least on a basic level of health. And they're like, but it's up to you. You know, Dr. Oz came on and he was like, the best way to be healthy is to be healthy. And I was like, oh, do you have financial advice too? Because that's incredibly solid right there. The best way to not need these services is to not need these services. And it's like, okay, but you gotta remember, you're dealing with people who have varying levels of knowledge around what is and isn't healthy. My hometown has a bit of a meth problem. And a real conversation that I overheard at a bus stop was, no, they getting on to me and on to me and on to me because I'm smoking meth. But it's not like it's crystal meth. And not only me as a bystander, but the person they were talking to seemed to also be on meth. Said, what do you mean it's not crystal meth? And he goes, it's regular meth. And so then the other person on meth was like, no, it's all meth. Crystal's not the deluxe. It's not like Crystal Pepsi, you know what I mean? It's all generally meth. There's not a diet meth. Meth is the diet meth. I haven't eaten in some time. Because we are a huge country. And it's when you travel, you realize how big this country really is. And it's a lot of people to try to keep healthy, try to make healthy, you know? And so you want people of the absolute highest caliber, knowledge and character to be in positions that affect your health. And I just don't think RFK Jr. is that, you know? And there's all these things. There's plenty of things that you can watch and plenty of breakdowns people have done on his ideas and his theories about health and everything, and the things that he says that fall into the lane of conspiracy and the things that he says that fall into the lane of like homeopathic cures and stuff. And I'm just saying there's a certain way that you talk about people that lets me know what you think about people, how you feel about people, right? And while maybe from his perspective seeming compassionate or seeming understanding, the way I've heard him talk about people, especially people with autism, but people with any sort of different ability or way of life, and talk about it in terms that just seem so like stark and dismissive of the individual themselves in these broad brushstrokes, and then try to later come back and be like, oh, I was only talking about a quarter of, you know, as if that's better. You know? It makes me feel like this is not the individual that should be in that position. And that's not just because he swims in sewage. It's because, like, actual sewage is spilling out of his mouth every time he talks. But yeah, maybe he can get the food additives out. I don't know. Like this. That's just, I don't know. That's what's so frustrating to me about RFK Jr. It's like half of what people applaud him for even saying we should do or that he's trying to do is just a bunch of stuff Michelle Obama was trying to do. Like, remember when Michelle Obama was like, how about a carrot? You remember that? Remember when Michelle Obama was like, just try an apple. And people were like, why do you hate America? No, it's super frustrating. You know, I get frustrated all the time. I can't imagine if you are, a parent of a child with autism and you're listening to RFK Jr. talk, or if you're someone who's an actual health specialist and you're listening to RFK Jr. talk, or if you are the person who, in my opinion, deserves to be the angriest, Michelle Obama, listening to RFK Jr. talk. You know, she probably is pointing at the TV doing the DiCaprio meme. Like, that's what I just want you to try an apple. You know, that's my thing. That's really where we screwed up. You know, we do all this stuff when it comes to healthcare to make it inaccessible, right? So there's all these things that you have these premiums, you have these deductibles, you have all these different things that we understand are to keep us away from the healthcare. But then when it comes to the vaccines, when it comes to the treatments, I think we're too eager to give it to people. We should actually hold it back and make it seem like, I don't know. I don't know, it's all the way over here. Do you really want to come over here and get it? Like, I don't know. Because I had a conversation with a friend that enlightened me a little bit in kind of that route of thinking. He was a new parent, and he was like, look, I'm not a doctor. I recognize that I don't know the science or anything, but I'm seeing all this stuff on social and on TV about like giving my kids vaccines, but I'm also talking to my doctor who's telling me to give my kids vaccines, and he's like, I don't know what to do, and I'm really scared about what I should do, right? And I was like, okay, like I hear what you're saying. And then he said, I just feel horrible if I gave my kid something and it made them sick or sicker. And I was like, okay, I understand what you're saying. And then I asked him, I was like, let's just go back in time for a second and just pretend that the vaccine that the doctor's trying to give you just doesn't even exist. And your kid was sick. Would you want it then? Do you know what I mean? And I'm not saying that as some sort of got you. I'm saying that when we're sick, we go to the hospital. When you're sick or someone you love is sick, you want a doctor immediately. All this like just asking questions, going back and forth, trying to dunk on doctors, trying to dunk on experts. It's always done from a place of like actually being okay right now. When you're actually in a hospital bed, you're like, do whatever. I'm coughing up blood. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying that to say that I don't have empathy for people who have questions or people who are unsure, people who are scared. That's where I think a lot of like humanity gets lost in the conversation. When some people are just like, I don't know what to do. I'm genuinely afraid of what I should do next because there's all this stuff out here. Just like with the food, just like with the treatments. For everything, there's a thing for it and against it and it depends on when it comes up in your feed. It depends on how you search. It depends on how you type it into Chat GPT. And so it's hard to know, to really know, right? And so I try to not just have patience, but have empathy for people who are genuinely unsure. But you saw it. You saw it in COVID. People were yelling to the rooftops, I'm not wearing a mask, I'm not doing this. Look, live your life. But then at the third cough, they did go to the people who told them to do all that stuff. And I'm just saying, like, I don't know, if you trust them now, you trust them when it's bad, why not trust them a little early? You know what I mean? And I just want to make it clear, like, my big gripe with RFK Jr. is that he doesn't have these debates and he doesn't have these knockdown, drag-out fights and arguments about the science and about where he's coming from and how he has his logic and how he came to these conclusions with experts who are well-versed in the science and in the medicine. It's always done in like a podcasty type of way. And now that people's real lives are at stake, I just think that's unacceptable. Like, I don't know how we're so willing to give this much. Like, I know we're not, but just, I don't know, when you look back and you compare it as a country, Michelle Obama was just like, just eat the apple. Like, it'll help.